You have her ID?
Yeah.
You're under arrest for
Your cell phone? No, I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you?
This is evidence.
Evidence.
Ma'am, do me a favor. She's under arrest.
I have to go with. I have to go. I have to go.
You don't have no choice.
Let me help you out.
No, I have to stay. Please don't do this.
Don't stay. You need to grab the bags.
Take the bags.
Yeah.
And you need to wait outside.
Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't
Yeah,
come
I
with
can't. Please, can I help?
No, you can't join me there.
Oh, don't do this,
me.
please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's got
God.
to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Hold on to that for me.
Is that okay with you?
Please. You know, my dad was handcuffs. She's not going anywhere. Please. Please.
You have anything in your pocket?
No, no.
Do you have anything of value in you?
No, I
Plus, you have a necklace on. You
What I
can
got?
take the
My-
necklace
I'll take it.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah.
and the earrings.
And the earrings. They're
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record. I'm muted. Here we go. One more time. Hello. Dean Walker, Taterbug. Murder by Maestro, Mo Freedom, Claudia. How is everybody? Kitty's 1993. Daz, Shannon. Gonna talk about Donna Adelson today and what is the gift that keeps giving as far as drama. Always so much drama in this case. I'm going to talk about the two witnesses that Donna Adelson wants out of the trial. Out. I mean, who would you think these two witnesses would be if you had to guess? I mean, you would think someone like maybe Katherine Magbanua, maybe Luis Rivera, maybe some of the real heavy hitters. No, no, no. No. Just odd. Two motions in limine I'm going to go over, meaning motions to exclude witnesses in Donna's case, Donna Adelson. So if you don't know, we're talking about the murder of Dan Markel. He was a lawyer, taught law school, was murdered in his driveway, July 18th, 2014. The getaway driver, Luis Rivera, cooperated. Sigfredo Garcia, who was the hitman, was convicted and given life. The middle woman, Katherine Magbanua, first got a hung jury. Then she got convicted, given the life sentence without the possibility of parole. She has since cooperated in this case for a reduced sentence, and we still haven't heard about anything having to do with her reduced sentence or appeal. So at the same time she was cooperating, she was appealing her case, has gotten denied. And then there's Charlie Adelson. This was all over Dan Markel was in a contentious divorce with his soon-to-be ex-wife, Wendy Adelson. And they were going back and forth through this divorce and the custody of their 2 children, 2 boys. And the Adelson family, meaning Wendy Adelson remains an unindicted co-conspirator in this case. Wendy's family wanted the kids and Dan Markel to be closer to her family in Miami. Dan Markel was murdered in Tallahassee, Florida. This is where the crime took place in July of 2014. And it's been a long road. So they started with the easiest people. We're working our way up. So Charlie Adelson was convicted and given a life sentence. And now his mother, Donna, 75 years old and on trial for murder, facing the rest of her life in prison for the murder by hire of Dan Markel. And it's quite unusual to be a grandmother of this status, social status, very wealthy. Her husband, Harvey, also unindicted co-conspirator in this case, is out walking around. He's a retired dentist. Her son, Charlie, who got convicted and is doing life, was an orthodontist. So we don't see this very often, this kind of case, very often. And so we're talking about 2 witnesses. Donna Adelson doesn't want to speak. And one of them says that Donna Adelson told her that Dan Markel, everybody is talking about him, I'm paraphrasing, like he was a beloved professor, but Dan Markel was a jerk. So this is, of course, Sarah Yousef we're talking about. Hey, Cheryl. Cheryl says, finally catching a live from New Jersey. Love your shows, Roberta. So glad you're enjoying them, Cheryl. Nice to see you. I'm glad you're catching a live. So one of these people we talk about when we talk about Wendy is Sarah Yousef, Wendy and Donna, Sarah Yousef. This is the one person, Donna, one of the 2 people that Donna does not want to testify in her trial. Now, I did a live about her a while ago, Sarah Yousef. She's on the right there. So Wendy's on the left. Sarah Yousef is on the right. Because there was leaked these emails between Wendy and Sarah Yousef. So let's just review those. And to review, Sarah Yousef is a lawyer herself. And Wendy was asking Sarah Yousef to speak up for her, and there was this breach in this friendship. They were very close. And did Sarah Yousef, all of a sudden, for reasons that aren't really disclosed in these emails, didn't want to be friends with Wendy anymore. So here's first, Wendy writes emails Sarah and says, would you consider speaking on my behalf on print or news media? I need your help ASAP. If so, I will put you in touch with my lawyer, John Lauro. So why would she go to Sarah Yousef? Well, one of the reasons she would go to Sarah Yousef, pretty good reason, is that Sarah Yousef was a spokesperson for former DA. So when everybody hears about, I know it's a controversial subject, my boyfriend hates when I say it, but it is a real thing, which is Soros-funded DAs. So what does that mean? So there's David Soros, who started the Open Society Foundation, put in $40 million into this fund to run former defense attorneys and public defenders for district attorney. And this is what happened with Maryellen Mosby in Baltimore, Chicago, New York. We have one. And one of them was Chesa Boudin. who is I'll explain why we're going into this, was the Weather Underground terrorist son who became district attorney and was wildly unpopular because he was so defense friendly. Here, this is an article where Sarah's mentioned as being the district attorney spokesperson. Two DAs quit in San Francisco where Chesa Boudin was DA because they didn't want to prosecute anyone. They were giving deals out to it was just so defendant friendly. So the idea behind running all these former defense attorneys and public defenders for DA is so that there would be no opposition, so that you would have two defense attorneys talking to themselves in court. They would be DA in name only, and they would really be another wing of the defense. It's really like saying, hey, we're so sick of the Red Sox are so sick of losing as a team, say in baseball, we will we'll play baseball, but everybody will play on the same team, and all the runs will all wear the same jacket. It's like that. Or basketball, we'll all put the ball in the same basket. That's how it went. So Sarah Yousef, here she is being the office spokesperson for Chesa Boudin. She now works for I think it's called the Justice. Oh, I'm just losing the name now. It's like the Justice Organization. I would think it was some very restorative justice organization. So that will give you an idea who Sarah Yousef is. But so she's I think it's called the Justice Foundation. Let me just double check that before, so I know what I'll get back to you on that. But here she is talking to Wendy. Wendy's asking her, will you speak on my behalf? I need your help. And going forward, Sarah Yousef answers back and says, Wendy, I love you and I want to help you so much. What exactly would you like me to do? Say, here's my concern. I think the prosecutor would then subpoena me to ask about the details of the marriage in our conversation over the past several years. I wouldn't want them to get additional facts and twist and turn them to harm you. I want to keep you safe. Right? Love, Sarah. This was August 4th, 2016. So around 2 years and a month after 2 years and a month shy of the murder. And going forward, Wendy answers back and says, no worries, my friend. No worries, my friend. Love me, which means Wendy. And then she says, hi, Wendy. I've been doing a bunch of deep work on myself to address my anxiety. I discovered that I take on the stress of those around me. I need to take some space to work through this stuff. I hope you will understand and respect how difficult this is for me to send this email. You did nothing wrong. I just feel anxious, need time to figure myself out. I wish you nothing but the best moving forward. Thanks for helping in my journey towards self-love by never talking to me again. What a passive-aggressive way to end a friendship. Love, Sarah. So that's August 18th, 2016. I don't know how I left off that date, but I'm pretty sure I meant 16th. And that'll give you. And Wendy wrote back, I love you, Sarah. Please do what you need to take the best care you can of you. You know that's what I would want for you. I will stop reaching out and trust that if or when you want to have contact with me again, you will take that step. I found that having murderers in my life or people who have murdered by hire or been in part, I mean, that's just my take on it. Obviously, Wendy is innocent until being proved guilty legally in a court of law. But did she find out something that was, not unsavory? So here she gets in touch with the Markel's family lawyer, and she writes, this is in 2000, I write to you after being moved to tears by Phil Markel's victim impact statement. I was close friends with Wendy from 2003 to 2017. I believe I have information that may be helpful to the Markel family. Please let me know if you are interested in speaking with me. I travel most of today, but will find time to speak tomorrow. So what did she know by reaching out to the Markel family lawyer? So pretty interesting, no? So here we go into her motion in limine, or Donna Adelson's motion in limine, where defendant Donna Adelson, by and through her undersigned counsel, requests that the Honorable Court exclude Sarah Yousef. So I thought this had more to do with prosecuting Wendy, because she's obviously friends with Wendy, and less to prosecute Donna. I would think that Sarah Yousef had a lot more direct contact with Wendy after the murder of Dan Markel. Was it perhaps her lack of curiosity about who murdered Dan Markel that tipped Sarah Yousef off, or was it her attitude towards Dan Markel? Here in this motion in limine, Sarah Yousef says it was Donna Adelson's attitude towards Dan Markel that was so unusual, and that tipped her off and made her feel uncomfortable, made her feel uncomfortable around the Adelson family, and made her think that the Adelson family were behind the murder of Dan Markel. Okay, so Donna Adelson moves to exclude Sarah Yousef as a trial witness, and in support thereof states as follows: Mrs. Adelson has been indicated in this case with one count of first-degree murder. So, one count of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and one count of solicitation of first-degree murder. Sarah Yousef has been listed by the prosecution as a material witness in this case. Sarah is a former close friend of Mrs. Adelson's daughter, Wendy Adelson. Sarah and Wendy first met when they were students at the University of Miami School of Law in 2003. So this is citing a deposition with Sarah Yousef. So if you don't know what a deposition is, it's during the fact-finding stage of, it can be either a civil trial or a criminal trial. You are questioned. You're questioned under oath. It holds the same weight if you questioned under oath in a court of law or a deposition. You're under penalty of perjury. So they're quoting lines in Sarah Yousef's deposition. According to Sarah, her friendship with Wendy was very close. Sarah and Wendy were friends for about 13 years. During this time, Sarah knew Mrs. Adelson because she was the mother of her close friend Wendy. Because of Sarah and Wendy's friendship, Sarah had been to Thanksgiving at the Adelsons' home on a few occasions and had been to their residence for different holidays and events. Sarah said she was very aware that it was a highly contentious divorce, and further testified that Wendy emailed her some of the motions Dan filed. Remember those long motions that some of them Dan Markel wrote himself, that the judge said you cannot keep writing these crazy long motions? Sarah described a birthday party she attended for Wendy's eldest son, which was held at Wendy's parents' condo in 2014. shortly after Dan's murder. It was at this party that Sarah obtained the only information she has regarding Donna Adelson. So that may lead one to believe that she has a lot more information regarding Wendy than she does Donna. But they're all like, according to me, the Adelson family are very hard, except for the oldest son, Robert, who may testify in this case, and I think it will be electric if he testifies. He was very aware that the family, he was very interested in her who murdered Dan Markel, and the rest of the family was not, and his attitude was totally different, and he sussed out that his family was involved and cut ties with them. According to Sarah, while at a party, she overheard Donna say, "They're talking about him like he was a beloved professor, but you know something? He was a jerk." Sarah thought what Donna said was abnormal because Dan had just died, and in most cultures, we don't speak about the dead. In Sarah's opinion, Donna's statement conveyed an outsized and inappropriate anger, considering that he, Dan, would never bother anyone again. And it's quoting her deposition again. All this, every line in this, every fact, it cites a line in Sarah Yousef's deposition. Beyond that statement, Sarah had no other testimony related to Donna Adelson. She may be a key witness in Wendy's trial. If Wendy ever remains an unindicted co-conspirator, if and when Wendy should ever be charged in relation to this crime. Beyond that that's just my thoughts. There's no, just my thoughts by reading the small bit of evidence we have in the public domain. Beyond that statement, Sarah had no other testimony related to Donna Adelson that she could offer. She ended her friendship with Wendy in 2017. When asked if she had come to the conclusion that Donna was guilty, of the Adelsons in general were guilty of doing something. She asked if she had come to the conclusion that Wendy was guilty or the Adelsons in general were guilty of doing something. Sarah thought they were guilty of conspiring to murder Dan Markel. Sarah clarified it was not all of the Adelsons, but that Donna, Charlie, and Wendy. I'll read that again for those in the back. Sarah clarified that it was not all of the Adelsons, but that Donna, Charlie, and Wendy, leaves out Harvey, very interestingly, were guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and soliciting somebody to kill Dan. When asked how she became a witness in this case, Sarah said that after the last trial, she saw Phil Markel's victim impact statement, and it brought her to tears. She also explained that the amount of time he talked about grandparent alienation and not having a meaningful relationship with the children made her feel really awful. Because of this, Sarah contacted the Markel's attorney and provided him with the information she had about grandparent visitation legislation. Sarah said nothing happened for a couple of months, but then the Markel's attorney contacted her and told her that he was giving her name to the prosecutor, Georgia Kappelman. She said she did this because she wanted to help the Markels. So, legal analysis. Sarah Yousef's testimony. This is from Donna's lawyers. Sarah Yousef's testimony at Mrs. Adelson's trial should be excluded for the following reasons. The relevant evidence is designed. It's not it can't prove or disprove a material fact. Here's the only testimony that Ms. Yousef can offer regarding Mrs. Adelson. I love that they call her Mrs. Adelson. Is the statement that she said Donna Adelson made to her about Dan Markel being a jerk. As evidence in the deposition Ms. Yousef gave on August 23rd, 2024, she testified that other than that single statement about Dan Markel being a jerk, she had no other admissible testimony that she could offer about Donna Adelson. While the statement may be admissible, the rest of Ms. Yousef's anticipated testimony, including her opinion concerning Mrs. Adelson's guilt, would be inadmissible at trial. To permit Ms. Yousef to testify concerning her opinion would be grounds for a mistrial and reversible error, as a witness's opinion about the guilt or innocence of the accused is inadmissible. Even if the court finds evidence relevant, it can be made inadmissible if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice, confusion, or misleading the jury. And then they say could be hearsay, lack of personal knowledge, that she, based upon her deposition testimony, the limited personal knowledge she had about Dan and Wendy's marriage came from several divorce proceedings that Wendy sent to her to read. Ms. Yousef also had personal knowledge of Phil Markel's victim impact statement, was because she watched it. Finally, Ms. Yousef has personal knowledge of conversations with Phil Markel's attorney, and because she was a participant in those conversations, overall, Ms. Yousef has limited personal knowledge about what she can testify at trial. So that is one witness. Donna Adelson says, don't let testify, keep her out of the court. And we're also going to go over the evidence list is out too. That's very interesting. But the other witness that they went out, I just find this so interesting that these are the two witnesses of all the witnesses they went that are going to appear in this case, that they're trying to exclude the testimony. The other one is, of course, of Stephen Webster. Now, who is Stephen Webster? Does anybody know? He was Dan Markel's attorney for a very short period of time. He's given a lot of interviews regarding this case. Here he is on AA Legal Focus's channel. He's also been...
Is Stephen Webster.
Dan Markel's attorney here. I'll just play a little of this just to get a feeling. He also... I was trying to find this interview. I played it before. He's also predicted that Wendy Adelson would be arrested shortly after Donna was arrested. Do you remember that interview he gave to local news? So very interesting that they want his testimony. He also testified at Charlie Adelson's trial.
Dan Markel's last attorney. So thank you for being here, Stephen.
Thank you for having me.
And is it okay to call you Stephen?
Please.
Okay, thank you. I know you're on vacation, so we really appreciate your time. So would you like to tell us a little bit about your personal background?
Yeah, so I went to undergrad, college later in life, kind of finished it as a night school endeavor. I was pouring concrete at the time for a living, and I had a friend who got accused of a crime he didn't commit. And as I was kind of finishing my degree at night school, he was dealing with that criminal charge and meandering through the system. And it was really kind of disheartening how it all unfolded. But the night that I took my last class was a Thursday night. His trial began the next morning. It's like 2 years of his life that he had this hanging over him. house arrest, all kinds of pretty tough stuff. And the judge, I know now what happened, but the judge dismissed the charges the next day at jury selection. I went to his party that night to celebrate, and I knew I was going to get my diploma the next day, my degree. And I told him I was going to apply to law school. I was looking at his public defenders. They were younger than me. And so I did, and got accepted at FSU, went to FSU, got out, worked at the state attorney's office for a couple of years, and really
So Florida State University is where Dan Markel taught.
enjoyed that job. I felt that's where I met Georgia, a lot of the other people. And went into private practice 2009-ish, working for a white-collar criminal defense lawyer in town, really kind of prominent lawyer. And then worked with another lawyer who's very well known in Tallahassee, he had a very kind of a general practice, and he was a brilliant man, is a brilliant man. So I learned a lot from him, and started my firm in 2013, and met Dan Markel shortly thereafter, which changed my life in ways I could have never imagined, because just before Dan was murdered, he introduced me to my law partner, Jean Baptiste. I had asked Dan if he knew a law clerk, a law student who might want to do some clerk work. And I told him, I said, look, this isn't Holland and Knight. This is the law office of Stephen G. Webster. I don't have time to sit around and babysit somebody. I need somebody who has confidence and who can be a self-starter and just hit the ground running, because I just won't have the time to sit around really and offer much guidance. He said, I know just the guy, and introduced me to one of the most important people I've ever met in my life and will ever meet in my life. He's like a brother. He's like a uncle to my children. And so Dan delivered that into my life just before he was murdered. So
fascinating, just the impact, Dan Markel. I always read these victim impact letters at the end of my episodes about Dan Markel and the amazing impact he had on people's lives and the time that he lived, unfortunately cut short by the Adelson family and those that did their bidding.
That's kind of my background.
So interesting. So where did you grow up?
I was born in Columbus, Georgia, but I really grew up in West Palm Beach. I moved down to West Palm Beach. And
so he was Dan Markel's divorce attorney, and Donna Adelson wants him out of the case. So I will include AA Legal Focus's Judy's excellent interview with Stephen Webster. I haven't in the description of this episode if you want to take a closer look at it. But here it says Donna Adelson has been indicted in this case with one count of first-degree murder. Attorney Stephen Webster has previously testified in Charlie Adelson's trial and is listed as a witness for the trial in this case. By this motion, Mrs. Adelson moves to exclude Stephen Webster as a witness. The threshold question for admission of evidence is relevance. Mr. Webster did not become involved in the post-litigation until May 2014, filing a motion for substitution of court on June 13th. The order granting substitution was signed on June 20th. According to his testimony in Charlie Adelson's trial and his deposition in this case on August 30th, 2024. So these are witnesses that sounds like the defense has deposed. Webster met with Mr. Markel in May 2014. The day after reading the pleadings he was asked to review. Mr. Webster centers on what Mr. Markel said to him about the post-dissolution proceedings, including that Mr. Markel said that he heard Mrs. Adelson say, "Stupid is on the phone," which I find so interesting because, of all the things you hear about Dan Markel, Harvard undergrad, Harvard postgrad, Harvard Law School, professor in law. Stupid wouldn't be the first thing that would come to mind. You hear arrogant, you hear other things, but why would you go to stupid? But Mrs. Adelson said he said that he heard Mrs. Adelson say "stupid" is on the phone after the March 26, 2014 counter motion was filed. Mr. Webster also offers his opinion on the strength of Mr. Markel's claims and his opinion about the involvement of the Adelson family in Mr. Markel's death, his continued advocacy for the Markel family vis-a-vis participating in podcasts and interviews with media concerning Mr. Markel's love for his children and providing commentary about the case. So essentially what they're saying about both Sarah Yousef and Stephen Webster is that they have become advocates for the Markel family and thus cannot are basically, I mean, essentially what they're saying is that they're biased witnesses concerning Mr. Markel's love for his children and providing commentary about the case to the extent the state intends to elicit from Mr. Webster statements made to him by Mr. Markel. Such testimony is hearsay for which there is no exception. To the extent the state intends to elicit from Mr. Webster his opinion about the strength of Mr. Markel's pleading, Webster is not an expert in family law. And he said that in his interviews, if you've listened to them. Even if he were a family law expert, no foundation for his opinion has been established. Absent being able to lay such a foundation, the court should prohibit him from offering an opinion about the strength of Mr. Markel's post-dissolution filings. Mr. Webster's opinion on the Adelsons' involvement in Mr. Markel's death also are inadmissible. Therefore, the defendant, Donna Adelson, respectfully requests that this honorable court grant this motion in limine, enter an order excluding Stephen Webster from testifying during her trial. So, very interesting. Though, I mean, if you think about all the possibilities of witnesses, those wouldn't be the two that would come to mind. I'd certainly think of other witnesses, but okay. Also, just out is the state's exhibit list, evidence list. And let's take a look at it together, shall we? While we're all together talking about Donna Adelson. And it's a lot of the things that you would think we've seen in other trials. So let me see if I can make this a little bigger for everyone. Let me see if you guys can see this. Well, I don't know if you're watching it on a TV, but I'll read it to you. But it'll give you an idea. Can I make it even a little bit bigger so you can... Okay, here we go. So here is Geiger's residence view. Geiger's view, close up, still from bus. So the view of Dan Markel's property, I believe this is all from the neighbor who found him. Still from bus. Scene from street. Garage from driveway. So this is all having to do with the murder. Glass in driver's side window, Dan Markel's car. Car in garage. Phone and glasses on garage floor. Car seats in car. Glasses, lenses, wallet and contents. Exterior shot of hole in window, close up with ruler. Interior shot of hole in window with ruler. Wendy Adelson's vehicle, driver's side. Wendy Adelson's vehicle front. So if you're familiar with this case, Wendy Adelson just happened to drive by the crime scene right after it happened, strangely. Now, she said that this was a shortcut, and that's why she drove by. or she drove by, it depends on what day she's telling the story, or she drove by this Dan Markel's home to come to terms with her divorce. It was a way to come to terms with her divorce. She said both. She also said it was a shortcut to buying whiskey for this party. Let me show you. And this is the Stock the Bar party. Oh, wow. They just, okay. Let me show you. So this is the top of the invite. And it says Bullet Bourbon, which she didn't, she bought some Bullet Bourbons for Lauren and Jamie. Was happening that night. You can see Dan Markel's murder date there, July 18th, 2014. Okay. Wendy's vehicle receipt, Vic. Okay, so the victim, so this is all pictures of victim at the moment of homicide. Victims, I would think that was, does anyone know what TMH meant? I don't know. What does victim's left arm? Oh, at the hospital. Victim at the hospital. Victim's left arm at the hospital. Victim's left arm close up. Autopsy pictures, which Charlie Adelson complained about them showing at the during closing arguments and how unfair it was. Autopsy ID, left side of face, left neck, left forehead, left eye. Lots more autopsy pictures from left head, right brain. Wendy and Katherine Magbanua on the beach. We've seen that picture. Charlie and Katherine Magbanua, the middle woman, and Charlie Adelson's ex-girlfriend. So Charlie Adelson is Donna Adelson's son. And the middle woman, Katherine Magbanua, who was Charlie Adelson's ex-girlfriend, at sunset. Pictures of ATM stills. I think this was having to do with the drive down. And Garcia and Rivera. So Garcia, I call him the getaway driver for lack of better word. Rivera, Garcia, I'm sorry, Sigfredo Garcia, the gunman. Rivera, the getaway driver. Katie and Jessica. Garcia and Rivera. Motorcycle. So they bought motorcycles. Holes in Prius. This is the car they were renting, which was said to look strangely a lot like Wendy Adelson's ex-boyfriend's car that she had just broken up with. They were going to try to pin it on Wendy Adelson's ex-boyfriend, that he was so jealous that he killed Wendy Adelson's ex-husband. I don't know. It didn't ever make... I always thought that was a bad idea, but okay. So he was planning on taking a trip. Wendy Adelson just broke up with her boyfriend prior to this murder, and he was planning on taking a trip that would have taken him right by the crime scene. And so it's odd that the car looks a lot like his car, that the shooter and the getaway driver drove. Hole in Prius, lots of pictures of the holes in Prius. Surveillance images of Charlie and Donna at the shoreline in front of some boats. Do you remember that picture? A picture of Alexis, Doc Who's Who with phone numbers. Wendy Adelson's iPhone contact for her mom, dad, and Charlie. So I would think this has to do with the time Sigfredo Garcia called Harvey Adelson. Wendy Adelson's iPhone contact for Jibbers. So that was their disparaging nickname for Dan Markel. And there is her iPhone contact under Jibbers. That was one of the lies Wendy Adelson was caught out in, that she didn't frequently call him gibbers, but then the follow-up question on cross was like, didn't you call, I think actually it was direct, didn't you have him listed as gibbers in your phone? Wendy's Adelson's iPhone call log, Wendy Adelson's iPhone voicemail log, divorce filings, Garcia's Facebook pic with certification, Garcia's Facebook pic with cert, pawn ticket with cert. Does anyone know what that pawn ticket is? Am I forgetting what that pawn ticket has to do with? Rivera's ticket, Garcia's ticket. So they got a ticket driving back to Miami. And I think they got a ticket down and back. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Save Gas, Hybrid Records, Adelson Institute, which was the dental clinic of Harvey and Charlie Adelson with certificate. Lexus, DHSMV, vehicle information, Comfort Hyundai contract. Spirion GPS with certifications. Summary communication records. Masonry records with cert. Coastal Masonry records with certification. Dr. Roundner. I believe that's Katie Magbanua got half a boob job, according to her, for her involvement as the middlewoman. Broward Dermatology records with certification. Nissan Garcia vehicle information certified. Honda Racer DHSMV vehicle information. Chevy Monte Carlo DHSMV vehicle information. Rivera's motorcycle vehicle information. Summary of Katherine Magbanua's financial records. Sigfredo Garcia's financials. Luis Rivera's financials, like all the purchases they made after the murder. Rivera banking patterns bar graph. Rivera overdraft graph. So a lot of this is going to have to do with how everyone's financials increase after the murder, especially Katie Magbanua. Look at all this evidence and exhibits related to Katherine Magbanua and her financials. Now remember, Donna Adelson was the one at the Adelson Institute who oversaw the office. So Katherine Magbanua was getting paid for doing nothing. She didn't work there, but she was getting paid. She was getting checks signed by Donna. So Magbanua employment timeline with attached spreadsheet. Checks from Adelson Institute summary. Magbanua checks from Adelson Institute. Timing of KM final AI checks chart. Magbanua breast augmentation payment graph. Magbanua income sources from 2013 through 2016. All of her cash deposits from that time, from 2013 and to 2016, with graphs and spreadsheets. Magbanua cash deposits and income from Adelson-related sources. Magbanua cash deposits from 2014, graph with attached spreadsheets. Magbanua cash deposits 2013 through 2016. With attached spreadsheets. Magbanua employment timeline combined with cash deposits and key dates from 2013 to, I believe, let me look, from, say, hold on, 2013 through 2016. Magbanua employment line graphs, Magbanua employment and cash deposits. So this is going to be heavily emphasized in this trial. Cash deposits after requests for funds from Charlie Adelson. Adelson total account balance charts. Adelson investment account. So it's going to have to do a lot with their money and where their money went and how much money they had and where it was going. Adelson family financial text messages. Catherine Magbanua, other financial benefit checks to Catherine Magbanua from Adelson Institute, the bump flyer. So you saw the bump in the opening. This was a technique to get everyone talking. That an undercover cop went up to Donna Adelson and said that he basically wanted to be helped out. He represented Luis Rivera, and they saw they were helping out Sigfredo Garcia, and they wanted to help out Luis Rivera. Tuto, Tato, Huho, whatever. Help out Tuto, Tato, Huho in prison and help him out and give him money, or they would spill everything they knew about the murder for hire plan. The bump letter. So it was a plan to get everybody talking, and it worked. Wire call summary, Cellbrite extracts. So that's their cell phone data. Scanned copy of Burnhardt script. So this is very interesting. So if you caught my episode, this is of course about the undercover, right? Drina Burnhardt, who was in the jail with Donna Adelson, who was working for the state. She's saying that Donna Adelson was walking around asking people in her art classes, sounds like mostly, to testify favorably for her for rewards, whether they were packages. Hold on one second. Whether they were financial rewards or they were packages. Now you have to remember that Donna Adelson was claiming that she was attacked in jail and that the prisoner demanded packages. So there's two ways to get extras in jail, in the Leon County Jail. One way is via the commissary. So I'm sure her commissary was always stocked up. You can get little extras like tuna fish, etc. But you can also get extras via Caremark packages that are sent in. So there are approved things, extras that you can get in jail. And Donna claimed that she was brushing her teeth, had her arm pushed behind her back, and the woman said she would get me care packages. And she got all these packages and was sneaking them to people. So, because she was in danger, she was threatened to do so, that she would have her teeth knocked out of her mouth. As my audience so wisely pointed out, very odd that Donna's focus is on her teeth being hurt, being the wife of a dentist and the mother of an orthodontist. But it also would have been a good story to cover up why all of a sudden in jail, Donna's getting tons and tons of packages all of a sudden. It wasn't to pay off people that she wanted to testify, pay off fellow inmates to testify for her favorably. Really, it was because she was being threatened, and it was to keep her safe, right? Trescott residence, 911 call with certification, premiere video clips all in one disc, Luis Rivera's CDRs, Garcia's CDRs, Wendy Adelson's CDRs. Same thing, 2016 wire calls, and then there's that famous call from Erica Johnson to Charlie Adelson, like, the feds are here. What do I tell them? Do you remember that in Charlie Adelson's case? I don't know what to tell them. They're asking about Katie. What do I tell them? She was very tight with, Erica Johnson was very tight with Charlie Adelson, loved working at the Adelson Institute. Very notorious. I think she's testified in every one of these trials related to Dan Markel's murder, if I'm not mistaken. Tower dump, AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint. Bank records of Rivera, Garcia, Magbanua, Adelson Institute, Charlie Adelson's American Express card. Lot of financial evidence. Disc of ATM videos. Video of the bump combined. Surveillance from La Dolce Vita. So that's the surveillance done on Charlie Adelson and Katie Magbanua, where Charlie Adelson is basically saying, if nobody knows anything, if we don't talk, we can get away with this. There's a million reasons. He's talking about DNA in a car and how there's a million reasons for DNA to be there. Dolce Vita audio, Dolce Vita composite, wire call, Charlie Adelson to UC, undercover, jail calls, Premier raw data, bus raw data. You can see it's a case light on evidence. LCJ surveillance. What is that? Leon County Jail surveillance. Here we go again with this undercover. Donna has made more evidence against herself. Her arrogance is always her downfall. This may have been a more iffy case had she not gotten a one-way ticket and tried to flee to a non-extradition country. How do we know that she was searching for a non-extradition country? Because her computer records show she was specifically going to Vietnam. So there goes one defense. Like, I didn't know Vietnam had no extradition treaty with the U.S. I didn't know it would be so difficult once I went to Vietnam on a one-way ticket. It would be so difficult to get me back. But her own computer searches betray her. Eyeglasses frame back to 2025, an entire thumb drive of recorded calls from Drina Burnhardt, the snitch. This is a snitch for the state, talking to Harvey Adelson, I believe, in some calls. And I believe this is all we're going to find out in trial, but can't wait. All having to do with Donna trying to get favorable testimony, buy favorable testimony. So arrogant. Her money can get her out of this, buying testimony, trying to buy testimony in her own trial. Eyeglasses frames back to Dan Markel. Here's his eyeglasses frame, eyeglasses lens on the driver's floorboard, garage floor. His eyeglass frame was found on the garage floor. Eyeglass, so sad. Eyeglass lens piece on the driver's seat. Wallet contents, his wallet contents, window glass, the projectile from left side of head. Vietnam visa of Harvey and Donna Adelson. And a painting, this sounds like a painting Donna made, I guess proving that they were in the same art class, to Drina. This is what I make. It may be something different. It's all it says is painting given to Drina Burnhardt. And I mean that to be Drina Burnhardt, who's been shown to be the snitch in this case for the prosecution. So was this I would think this would be a painting that Donna made, but it may be some kind of valuable painting of Donna's given to Bernhardt. It could be, but I would think most likely it's some kind of painting that Donna painted for Drina in the art class. If I had to guess, but I'm guessing. All it says is painting. What do you think it is? So here's demonstrations, who's who in the case, who's who with financials, very much like we saw in Charlie Adelson's case. They have all the pictures and show how everyone is connected. A demonstration of code words. There's a who's who with their financials. Katherine Magbanua and Charlie Adelson's a demonstration of their communications. We saw in Charlie Adelson's case, wire slides, and a timeline. So that is the exhibits list. So what do you think of that painting? I'm so curious. Coming back to you guys. What do you think about that painting? I know I do sound congested. I think it's just allergies. I was like, wow, I feel really congested. Yeah, she said she just wanted to clear her head. What do you think about that painting? Hold on one second. Do you think that's a painting Donna made? Or do you think that is a painting, something like more valuable? Is that a jewel of the Adelson family? The case hasn't faded. Zen Davis says, I've noticed the case hasn't faded in the mind of the public. It's still front and center. Not quite as much as it was. I think Donna has, here. Jane, do you know? It's a real valuable painting. Wow, I'm wrong. No money tail, just bundles stapled to the back of it. Really? That's so they were going to pay her not in packages, but in a real painting. Valuable art she was bribing her with. Is it? Do you know for certain, Jane? Just a guess. Okay, just a guess. I would think it would be, I mean, if I had to guess, I would guess it would be a painting that Donna gave her from the art class, but to show that there was a connection between them, like, dear Drina, my friend, to show that they were in contact. But who knows? So that's what I have for today. This case just keeps getting, more and more interesting. But before I go, the way I finish off all these every episode, or close to every episode, not always, but I do it an awful lot. I try to remember the victim in the case by reading a victim impact statement. This was written in September of 2019. Dan Markel and I were friends from around 1996 until his death. I've been friends with his brother-in-law since high school days, and when I moved to Toronto, I was often included in the Markel Shabbat dinners and other holiday celebrations. Dan and I never lived in the same city, and we didn't see each other often, but Dan always made the effort to reach out and stay connected. I happened to meet him when I was making some decisions about a relationship and my job at the time. Dan's capacity for listening and offering sound advice was astounding. His strong values, deep connection with his Jewish identity, incredible intelligence, and dedication to his career challenge my acquiescence to my life situation vis-a-vis my career and relationships. His very presence in my life brought out my strengths. His very presence in my life brought out my strengths. I think I would have fallen in love with him if we lived in the same city, or as we joked, our styles of travel were similar. I am a backpacker and he is a planner. As many others have attested to, the members of the Markel family are incredibly warm and loyal. Dan's boys were the light of his life and brought great joy to his whole family. They are being deprived of their grandparents, cousins, aunts, uncles, and many friends that make up the fabric of the Markel community. I miss Danny a lot. He brought a perspective to my life that I haven't found in anyone else. I am grateful for the time we spent together and hope this trial brings some peace to him and to his family. Sincerely, Julie Christoph, Montreal, Canada. That is what I have for today. Please hit the thumbs up, share this episode, leave me a comment. If you'd like to support the channel, you can send me a Venmo, buy me a coffee, or become a Patreon supporter and get access to content you won't get anywhere else. Links are all in the description of this episode. Much thanks to everyone who supports my work. I will see you back here very soon. Have a great night, everyone.
What a stitch you're in. You plotted a murder 'cause you wanted to raise your daughter's kid. Tallahassee is just a stop on the way to civilization. Miami is where all the fancy people are. The TV is about 5. You can't get away from that. Two-toe, tay-toe, hoo-ho, you know the guy you pay, and you can't get away from that. Oh, Donna, what a stitch you're in. You thought jail was just for the little people, but now you're so blankets with the locked-up crew. You're a grandmother in lockdown, and your one-way ride to freedom you blew. What a stitch you're in. Your family are exiled from the social circles you swam in. We all know you never made that banana bread or offered to babysit for Dan, but you'll soon be making license plates and thinking about what could have been.